Welcome back to Talk of the Town on WHTC, Holland's Cool FM, on WHTC.com, and on the WHTC app for your smartphone. Once again, here's your host, Gary Stevens.
Welcome back to Talk of the Town for this Wednesday, August 26th. Fourth Wednesday of the month, which means at this time we catch up with things going on with Salvation Army of Holland. It's co-pastor Captain Matt Winters on the other side of our table this morning. Matt, welcome back, sir.
Thank you for having me, as always, Gary.
If you have a question about what's going on at Salvation Army, there's plenty of stuff going on right now. No, they are right now dry cleaning and pressing their Santa suits for the Red Kettle campaign later on. But you know that answers that question. But if you have another one for Matt, 616-395-1450. Let's start with the Red Kettle campaign. What goes into preparing a Red Kettle campaign? Because obviously you don't reach Thanksgiving saying, "Oh, we got to put the kettles out."
Yeah. We usually set the date, way in advance. Throughout some of the great things that we don't have to do, that the larger Salvation Army does, is they work with our national partners. So there's some organizations that, Spartan Nash, so that'd be your family fairs, and Walmart, Sam's Club. Those partnerships are negotiated each year, and so those are starting to come in, and so we know what sites we can be at. We have some local ones, like Bowerman's and Tiptoes, that we approach, and they let us be there. So, yeah, we're always grateful for those people who allow us to ring outside their doors. So that's one facet, securing the locations, but then, too, as you kind of joked about, but yeah, getting the aprons down and cleaning them out, making sure the bells work, the stands are ready to go, and, then we start looking for people to do all of that. So
it would be nice to say you have thousands of kettles to be spread around, but reality is, what do you think when I say you, what does the Salvation Army, this chapter, believe needs to have, and how many kettles do you really need to have out in order to have a successful campaign?
Yeah, we as we look towards the budget, we have 13 sites, and if we have full coverage at those 13 sites, I mean, we would only have to ring half the time. So when you think about that, we start ringing the second Friday of November, which I think this year is, that wouldn't make sense if it was the week before Thanksgiving. But
I'm checking, by the way. So go ahead.
Second Friday of November. And
that's the 13th.
13th, yeah. And so we start there all the way to Christmas Eve, and we could basically ring only December if we had full coverage. And
when you say full coverage, are you talking number of kettles or manpower or woman power in that regard?
Yeah, great question. Yeah, if we had volunteers that stood at every site we ring from 10 to 7, if we had volunteers from 10 to 7 at all 13 sites for those 2 weeks, or 3.5 weeks, 4 weeks of December, then yeah, we would reach our goal. So that's why we kind of pick our goal based on how we did last year. Last year we did over 100,000 just in the kettles, and so this year, and the previous year was like 69,000. So we had a huge jump. So this year we're aiming for right in between that. Don't know if we had some extra generosity next year, but anything that happens above that. So last year we surpassed our goal. We were able to put right back into the programs in the community. So we budget for what we think is realistic, but when the community shows up in real ways, like last year, we're able to give out and help way more.
I don't want to go I might go a little bit deep on this. The physical kettles themselves, where people will drop in the bills, and the paper money, folks. Yes, I know coins sound pretty, but paper money goes further. But the physical kettles, that stays here, doesn't it?
Yep. All the money that we get does. And that just brings up another good question of, we do some mail appeal. And I was just talking to a donor the other day, and he's like, well, why does the return address say Iowa? And the Salvation Army does have like a collection, a processing center, but all of those dollars, so if, Gary, you wrote a check today and responded to that appeal, it would go to Boone, Iowa, and then come right back here. So the digital funds would be transferred back here. So your check goes there, but that's their way of helping to process everything. But yeah, when you give into the kettle, right away, yeah, we deposit it here, and it stays here, and it gets that help in the community.
Okay, now, let me preface this by saying I like the idea of having local dollars stay local. I've mentioned this before when we've had Matt on the air talking about the fact that, yeah, it's good to contribute to the Salvation Army's overall efforts. And that's fine. I have no problem with that, but I really like to see my money that I'm donating stay in the community because you guys need the help. Yes, I know Grand Rapids keys and all that, but I'm of the opinion keep the money here, which leads me to believe you put a physical dollar bill or $10 bill in the kettle here in Holland, it stays here.
Yeah, absolutely. And in fact, the Army switched. They started something called the Give Where You Live campaign, kind of speaking to that so when you even donate online, it checks your zip code. And so unless you indicate, I want this to go to Grand Rapids, since your zip code for your credit card is here in Holland, and in our service area, we would still receive that. So
now, does that also work for online giving? Because I know Salvation Army is really hitting hard on having the Red Kettle campaign online.
Yep. Yeah, so it does. So that's the great thing is, and then that way, and there are even certain ones so when we have QR codes up at our kettles, that specific QR code, no matter where your credit card is, because it recognizes you're at that kettle site, comes straight to us. So even if we have, because we're a tourist town, and maybe I think there's nothing more picturesque than walking downtown when snow is falling and it's gorgeous. And so maybe we have some tourists that come in for that. If they scan to our QR code, we would receive their funds, even though their credit card was somewhere else. Yep.
The other point I wanted to make, and I know that I hope I'm not being stepping on too many toes on this. Yes, I know that there is a Salvation Army resale store at the corner of Felsham, US 31 on Holland's north side, but we've talked about it before. You go there, yes, you're supporting Salvation Army in the region more than just the actual Holland Salvation Army.
So the Salvation Army resale store or thrift store right next to Lowe's supports the Adult Rehabilitation Center. So those men that are dealing with alcohol or drug-related addictions, they can go for free and stay there. And we've taken some people even from Holland to stay at it's a 6-month program. And so that's what that store funds. There's when you're in a certain radius of those rehabilitation centers, the funds go back to there.
But again, my point is I like keeping dollars close. But then again, as you said, sometimes the Adult Rehabilitation Center helps those in Holland as well. So,
yeah,
no begrudging on that, I suppose. How can people volunteer to help in the Red Kettle campaigns?
Yeah, this year is going to be a little bit different and interesting, and so we're trying to walk through that with grace. We've changed over our platform, and so that's all going to be up on our website and ready to go. We have orientation even for our staff coming up. So it might be a little bit different than years past. And so those that have been familiar with our volunteering and register to ring, that might shift. It is shifting. So they're moving to a national platform. So that way, national can see, hey, how are the volunteers coverage in Holland? And is it going well? And how can we help them? Those kind of things. So it should be a good shift, but there will probably be a little bit growing pains. Everything will be on the website.
And that is coming, by the way. SalvationArmyUSA.org, that's the overall website. And then you have to go through MI, Holland, Clover Avenue, Core.
Yep. So, you can, or the short handle is just saholland.org.
Yep. And it will convert to that particular website. If you have a question for Captain Matt Winters, co-pastor of the Salvation Army of Holland, 616-395-1450. Let's get an update on something that the Salvation Army of Holland has picked up the ball on, along with the Community Action House, and that is the Community Kitchen Program, Meals for the Needy. 5 days a week, a good lunch for them at the community kitchen over on the campus. How has things gone since it was settled and the grand opening was, I think, 6 weeks ago?
Yeah, it's kind of been crazy to look back, and I mean, there's a lot of work to get it there and a lot of delays. And so, yeah, actually, I don't think we've spoken since then because I was gone in July. So things are going well. Meals are phenomenal. The Community Action House team at the community kitchen does incredibly well at that. And so we have the space, and it's been a good partnership. And so, yeah, I get the chance to eat a free lunch every day and sit down with guests. And I won't name them all here, but yeah, I was talking one of the days I sat down with a woman. This was 3 weeks ago. And she had just 30 minutes prior lost her brother-in-law, was notified. And so here she is getting a meal for the day and kind of trying to hold it all together. And I had the chance to sit down with her, talk to her, pray with her. And so that's what, for us, that partnership looks like is, allow the people that are really good at cooking the meals and caring for people, and then we can come alongside and also care for people and pray with them.
Yeah. Keep in mind, yes, I know that some might say it's proselytizing. I'm of the opinion just walking alongside them, being there. If they want, if they reach out, they'll reach out. If they don't reach out, they don't reach out. Yeah.
In our partnership, that's one thing. Like there's no faith declaration that you have to have to participate in the community kitchen and in any of our programs. So our hope is that we meet people where they're at, and as you said, if it progresses into a spiritual need or in situations of loss and grief, people are looking for someone to help, and so yeah, being able to step into those gaps is always what we love to do.
All right, 616-395-1450. If you have a question for Captain Matt Winters of the Salvation Army of Holland. A new school year is on the horizon. Some districts have already started. As we speak, others will start over the next week or so. As school begins, is there anything specific that the Salvation Army of Holland does for the school year for youngsters? Because I know that we talked about the day camps for the summer. What about the fall now that school is back in session?
Yeah, what a great question, Gary. We just completed our backpack giveaway with the City of Downtown, I Am Academy, Escape Ministries, missing a couple, but it was well publicized. And phenomenal event put on. We gave away, I think rough numbers were about 1,600 backpacks. So that was done at the Civic Center. So that's one of the things, kind of getting people ready for school, and less of a program, but an awesome opportunity. And then as we think of our programming in the fall, we start family night. And so we do a dinner at 4:30. So there's open gym time, or dinner at 5. So it's 4:30 to 5 is open gym. 5 o'clock is a dinner. And then we move to the chapel and do a object lesson and sing some songs, and then split up into elective classes. So the first set of elective classes is music. So we haven't set our classes for the fall yet, but we've done in the past guitar, trumpet, bucket drums, boom whackers, all those kind of things, music. So those happen, and then after that is the general elective time. So we've done woodworking, Pinewood Derby building, Lego robotics, archery, art, so all sorts of board games. So gives the family a night, and family could mean anything. It could mean I'm a young adult looking for community. It could mean I am a single parent with kids. So that starts in September. I think it's always on Thursday night. So same thing. They can look to our website or Facebook, but I believe it's the 22nd-ish, right around there. So
616-395-1450. Let's get to the phones. Good morning. You're on the line with Captain Matt Winters of the Salvation Army.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I've heard different things about some other plans at the Salvation Army for other services that came from program called Project Home, and I was wondering if you could expand on that. What's being planned? Thank you.
All right, thank you very much for the call.
Yeah, that's a great question. So our hopes is, and the larger vision from Project Home was, yes, to provide a space for the community kitchen, but then also to build some showers into our facility and have case management around that, so offering free showers to people. In that whole idea as well is collaboration. So kind of exactly what we're doing with Community Action House. We don't have to have all the answers as a Salvation Army, but our hope is to gather people around. And while they're receiving services, maybe it makes sense that Good Samaritan is stopping by and helping people with housing, or Gateway is checking in on someone. So that's our larger hope, is as we start to have the showers, we have our own food pantry, and then you have the community meal that's happening, to find and develop services around that. And so one of those other services can also look like haircuts or foot care clinic, those kind of things. So that's the overall goal, is a resource center or a community center designed that when someone has a need and they're showing up there, instead of traveling from place to place, they can do it all at the Salvation Army. And some of it's, and most of it might be done by the Salvation Army, but it's also done in tandem and in collaboration with others.
To a certain extent, you guys, the Salvation Army helps shoulder the load. It's not just one organization doing it.
Yeah. And what we were finding out of Project Home was the community has the resources, but as I said, you're asking someone to traverse across, maybe it's a couple miles or whatever it is, and by the time they get to one place and get answers, now they're traveling back across, and that's a whole day's worth of walking or biking. And so our hope is, hey, if you're coming for a lunch, let's also see what else you need that day and help move you forward in your journey to whether it's find stable housing or have a budgeting class to meet the needs. So, yeah, great question. Thank you for that.
And thank you very much for the call. 616-395-1450. If you have a question for Captain Matt Winters, 616-395-1450. Good morning. You're on the line with Captain Matt Winters of the Salvation Army.
Good morning. About the community kitchen, all out by there, but there's no designated bus stop for Matt Transit.
So you're thinking you'd like to see that be a part of that? That might be a good question for the Max Transit guys.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, so what we've seen, Max, originally the closest spot was on 8th Street and Clover. So I'm guessing here. It's probably 6 or 7 blocks away.
Well, actually, wait a minute. 8th and Clover,
maybe it's
if I know my geography well, that's about a block plus, a little bit more than a block from your campus.
Sure. Yeah, it might, and that's where I don't know stepwise. It just, for me, I look down there and it feels like a very far, but yeah, maybe it's only a blockish. But once Max heard about us moving, having the community kitchen, they put in a second stop right off Chicago, and it drops off right at the Avis Budget Rental Manus Auto Body Shop right there.
And it's maybe about 100 feet away.
Yeah, that's much closer. So depending on what route you're running, that starts to get much closer. I mean, our hope, and it depends on riders, so if you ride the bus, we'd encourage you to keep riding the bus, because they look at those numbers and say, oh, man, lots of people are visiting the Salvation Army. Do they need a closer stop? Yeah.
Yeah, they look one closer near the other, not too far from Secretary of State.
Yeah, they used to have that stop at the Secretary of State, and that's where they looked at their analysis of budget and how many riders, those kind of things, and moved to just the one on Clover. And then, as I said, once they were aware that we were going to have more traffic, they quickly changed their plans that were in process for almost a year and a half and added that second stop. So,
okay, well, thank you for answering my question.
Thank you very much for the call. I was going to bring this point up before we got a couple of calls, talking about your family nights. And one would think that part of it is allowing kids to have an opportunity to play. But really, it's almost like giving families a chance to bond, where perhaps they don't have where they live because maybe it's a cramped quarters or maybe it's temporary quarters or whatever the situation is. They don't have a chance to bond. And this might be a great opportunity for them to do so.
Yeah, when you think of, growing up, I didn't have access to archery, and so you think of new experiences, and that's something, yes, that you can do as a family that could really bond together those family units. So that's one of the things we love to do. Since we have been here in 2023, we've encouraged parents or guardians or whoever's bringing the child to participate. So there are some that are age restricted. So archery, you have to be, I think, at least 9 years old. But we've seen that sometimes parents, maybe they want to learn archery, but their younger kids are interested in art. And so their younger kids go to the art class and they get to go to archery and still provide them, okay, we're in the same space. There's good, responsible adults there as well. And we can both learn a new skill. So whether they're in the same class or they're bonding around the dinner table, because as you said, some people don't sit down for dinner, and that's one of the things that we've intentionally put in. So, yeah, great, and I appreciate you bringing that up. It's a great time to just bond as a family.
And then finally, let's talk a little bit as we move into September. Besides the family night activities, what other things are going on that people need to be aware of? What's happening at the Salvation Army?
Yeah, most people, and maybe they don't, and so that's why I can appreciate that question too. Is we always have a food pantry available. You can come twice a month. On every Tuesday and every other Friday, one of the partnerships we have is with I Am Academy, Henry Cherry, and he does a mobile food pantry. So separate from our food pantry, he comes in with a big load, a big truck, and I think yesterday they did 120 people. So that's 120 families that are now receiving food all within an hour and a half. So incredible stuff. So if you find yourself tight with finances, I feel like we all are, sometimes reallocating dollars because you've received help allows that budget to stretch further. And so that's what we love to do at the Salvation Army. So if if it might just be finding the right resources. So we do all of that in the fall. And as you said, we're already gearing up for the kettle campaign and looking forward to that. So the other big thing, too, that we do in tandem with the kettle campaign is the Christmas toy drive. So even if you're thinking of, man, what's coming up, if you find a deal on a toy, buy it now, save it. Last year, our biggest marginalized category were the teenagers. And I know it's hard to shop for teenagers, but if you find a good sweater, Detroit Lions, we were talking before the show, that's a great thing to send over to the Salvation Army, and we'd love to get that in the hands of a kid this Christmas season.
If you want more information about what's going on at the Salvation Army, saholland.org will get you to the webpage. Of course, they also have a presence on Facebook, and you can call the Salvation Army at 616-392-4461, 616-392-4461. Captain Matt Winters, thank you very much for joining us. Wish you and your family well, and if all goes well, we'll do this again in the month of September. Thank you, sir.
Gary, thank you as always.
Thank you very much, Captain Matt Winters on WHTC, Holland's Cool FM.
You've been listening to Talk of the Town on WHTC, Holland's Cool FM, on WHTC.com, and on the WHTC app for your smartphone.
We want to thank Ottawa County Clerk and Register of Deeds Justin Roebuck and Captain Matt Winters with Salvation Army of Holland for joining us today on Talk of the Town. Their segments have been or will be uploaded to our webpage at WHTC.com in the podcast tab under Talk of the Town. You can listen or download these segments for free at your convenience. Our thanks to Brian Spencer, What's New Around Holland as well. And most importantly, thanks to all of you for being a part of our program today. Tomorrow on WHTC's Talk of the Town, we'll be joined by Ken Cope of the Zeeland Historical Society and Ottawa County Commissioner Jim Barry. Following an NBC News brief with Michael Kastner, it'll be Lindsay Lawrence's Evergreen Commons Report. For Brian Spencer, I'm Gary Stevens. Thanks for listening to Talk of the Town. Have a good day. Hope you can join us tomorrow.